What's going on, everyone? This is Lucky7. Thanks for watching, and this is going to be my review on the Division beta. Now, we had the closed beta last month and the open beta this month, and I think the important thing that we need to keep in mind is that this is just a beta, and there's probably a good 2 hours worth of gameplay, probably an hour worth of non-Dark Zone content, and an hour worth of Dark Zone content. And really, we have to remember that there probably wasn't enough content to keep us busy for 72 or 96 hours for the entire beta weekends. I think people are getting too hung up on that. You know, there wasn't a lot of loot, there wasn't a lot of enemies, they were just getting bored, and again, this is just a beta. To go with that, I hear a lot of reviews saying that the map was too small. There's been huge gripes about that. The Brooklyn map isn't going to be there. From what I've seen, the map is going to be just huge, and I think a lot of people are overlooking the fact that there are buildings to explore, missions inside buildings, and then missions underground, or just explorable stuff underground. We were introduced to the cleaners that took us on a mission underground, and in the Dark Zone there was also the subway portion that you saw the cleaners, which was underground. All that stuff isn't really a part or visible on the map until you actually go under there. So yes, I mean, it could be that the map is too small after we get to Endgame, but you can also keep in mind that we saw Brooklyn in some of the E3 videos, and we can look forward to it possibly being DLC content at a later time, which can expand the map. Another thing I've been hearing is that the enemies were a bit too vanilla. Again, we have to remember that this is just a beta, and you can't expect them to really give us all the information about, you know, the cleaners and the Rikers and their backstory and how they fit to the division. We will find that out as soon as the game comes out. I'm sure we'll be introduced to all the different factions that the division has to offer during the storyline play. And there's also probably going to be more factions to be released during DLC content, or for DLC content, so we have that to look forward to. I don't think that the enemies were too vanilla. They had good different types of mobs in each faction. You had your rushers, you had your snipers, and so on. I think it was enough for the beta, and it gave us just a little taste of what we can expect for the full version of the game. The combat system was really refreshing to be able to take cover and take a different approach to, you know, the typical shooters that we've been accustomed to, you know, the past decade or so. It's not your typical FPS. You actually have to use strategy, you have to take cover, you have to flank the enemies, or you actually have to fall back if you're being flanked or overrun. With today's first-person shooters like Call of Duty and Destiny, it's more of just a run-and-gun type of gameplay. You can have some sort of strategy involved, but when it comes down to it, it's more of a run-and-gun shooter. You don't have to take cover, you don't have to flank, and it's not really realistic when you think about someone just strafing back and forth behind a crate, and then they quick scope someone with a headshot halfway down the map. This, you have to actually use some sort of strategy with your team in order to overpower or overrun the enemy and just take them out one at a time. I was also really impressed with the amount of loot that was being dropped during the beta. We were introduced to the full range of item rarities, which was nice because it'll give us something to look forward to or to keep in mind while we're progressing through the story or in the Dark Zone. I assume that the yellow high-end items will be more in the endgame content or like in a hard mode during the missions, so the amount of item variations with the quality or the lower quality items should be very, very high. The story that we should be getting is going to be really refreshing to see. It's going to be a more realistic story. I mean, I'm really looking forward to it because it's a story that could take place in our world today. There's a virus outbreak during an extremely busy Black Friday, and it's a realistic situation that actually could happen. Not saying that I would like to see it happen, but it's more relatable than blasting off into space, fighting aliens, or having another World War II or World War III reboot scenario. We've had enough of that during the past decade, and I'm really kind of getting tired of it. Now, the last positive thing I wanted to mention was all of the improvements that were made during the closed beta to the open beta. I was expecting the major glitches to be fixed, but they addressed a lot of the minor details like balancing out the enemies and improving gameplay with the rogues in the Dark Zone. We won't know for sure if this is the type of support that we will get through the life of the game, but if Ubisoft continues like this, the Division should be around for a while. Now for the negatives that I saw. I wish I didn't have anything bad to say, but this game isn't going to be perfect. The biggest drawback that I noticed was it felt like another Assassin's Creed progression type game that Ubisoft's well known for. When running from point A to B doing the missions, I was constantly being sidetracked with other pointless missions like uploading virus data, which was pretty much just me running around looking for interactable objects before the timer ran out, or helping some random guys in the street fight some, one of the factions. Unfortunately, I'm the type of person that get caught up doing mindless checklist tasks, but I hope that's not the path that Ubisoft took to compensate for a lack of story or length of game. Now, the Dark Zone was really interesting because it's not really a true PvP or PvE environment, but I was never really sure what I was going to be doing when I entered the Dark Zone. It really seemed to vary every single time I went in, but it seemed to all revolve around a single task of gathering loot, which was really repetitive. I was faced with questions like, should I go in and just fight all the NPCs and just hunt for loot, or should I go around killing other players that had loot, or should I just go around hunting rogues or being a rogue myself so I could get more Dark Zone currency and then go buy more loot. It's really hard to say what the Dark Zone will actually consist of when the game is released, but I really hope there's more things to do like Dark Zone missions, or even a story mode mission that involves going into the Dark Zone to actually complete the story mode mission. Staying in the Dark Zone, the rogue system is a great idea, but it has its issues. Players are allowed to take out a huge chunk of health before they're actually marked rogue themselves, which meant a huge disadvantage to players that were getting jumped. I was also able to shoot at players and bait them into shooting me until they went rogue themselves. I understand that it could be hard to find a solid middle ground to compensate for friendly fire, but maybe having a higher consequence for dying as a rogue could help. You do remain rogue for a number of minutes, but it simply goes away once you die. If you have to remain rogue after you die for a number of minutes, say 5 or 10, even if you're in the Dark Zone or story mode, it could make players second guess themselves by going rogue all the time. Last but certainly not least, I want to talk about the endgame content. Very little is known about what the endgame content will consist of other than a possible 8-man raid against the Rikers. Games these days are highly driven by endgame content, so I hope raiding one faction or one place will be enough to satisfy players until DLC is released. Yes, there will be a hard mode, but doing one raid over and over again will be extremely repetitive and will lose the interest of a lot of players. I'm hoping that since there are 3 factions right now, that each faction will provide a raid in different parts of the city, giving us more stuff to do. Well everybody, that is my review on The Division. If you guys want to add any of your own opinions, feel free to leave it in the comments below. And if you liked my video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Big thanks for everyone that stuck around for the whole video, and until next time, I am Lucky7. Peace out guys, see you on The Division.